Hello, everybody, and welcome into Crown Corner. Will Palanchik here with you, soon to be joined by Jessica Charman. We are so happy to be with you here this week. If you saw the tease on my Twitter at Willie P Style, you will know that this is going to be a little bit more of an unconventional Crown Corner. There'll be plenty of me and plenty of Jess. The basic short part of the story is that we both have had other assignments this week. I had to do the Kyle Bailey Clubhouse yesterday on WFNZ, which precluded me from being a part of our pre-recorded interview segments, but Jessica Charman did a fantastic job, and she's had some great interviews lined up for you, including one with Charlotte FC goalkeeper George Marks, and also opposition research with a member of Inter Miami's radio team, which she told me it probably is one of the best ones that we've had all season. We also are going to talk to Matt Chantry from Mint City Collective. We'll still take your questions, as always, on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, as well as anywhere you might find us across our social media platforms, including at WFNZ on Twitter. I'm at Willie P Style. Jess is at Jess Talks Footy. Reason she's not here currently is she's currently calling the Georgia State High School Athletics Soccer Finals. She's got a pair of games. She's going to try to join us in between her two games near the end of the broadcast. She did have a possibility to possibly join us a little bit of a window, but we think that window might be shrinking because a little bit of rain happening down in the Georgia area. I also know that there's some rain going on down in Valentine, but plenty to get to here on the show. We're going to recap Orlando. We'll look ahead to Miami, a battered Inter Miami squad. For those of you also who are watching, I just want to say, fair play to Real Madrid and Manchester City for that great Champions League final that we saw, or Champions League semifinal we saw that got done just before we went on the air. Looks like a little bit of karma for Manchester City at their the 2 goals in added time that they got in 2012 for the end of the Premier League season in those goals over QPR to take the title away from Manchester United. Seems like karma has come back to bite them with the 2 goals they surrendered in added time against Real Madrid, and then the 1 penalty in extra time. Meanwhile, Charlotte FC finds themselves coming off of another loss on the road, this time at Orlando City by a score of 2-1. Here's how it sounded on WFNZ and the Charlotte FC radio network.
First touch made by Orlando, and we are underway at Exploria Stadium. Pereira with a service into the middle. Off the crossbar on the service, but it comes to Carra. Now for Torres inside the area. Headed by Huon. Save Kalina!
Will, that woodwork's been good to us over the last 2 matches.
3 in the last 2 weeks. Michelle trying to get inside the area. A centering pass, way behind. A shot, they score. Pereira plays it forward to Carra. 1v1 against McCoon. Carra, a shot. Nice sliding play made by Christian McCoon to try and get Carra, who had a 1v1 with the keeper.
Vital, absolute vital challenge from McCoon.
Alcivar looking long back post, headed by Bronico to the middle and cleared away from danger by Orlando. A long run. Middle of the park now is Huon. Huon already on a goal. 1v1 with the keeper. It's Huon versus Kalina. Left it right side, and they tap it in for a goal.
Shocking.
Alcivar playing it long to the middle for Alan Franco. Franco taken down in the area, and that is a penalty from the 12-yard spot. Fuchs approaches. He scores! Christian Fuchs coolly plays the penalty, and Charlotte FC have halved the deficit in the 60th minute.
And experience does the speaking by Christian Fuchs.
Throw in from Fuchs into the area, high up in the air. Booted by one Orlando player, back in by Bronico, cleared away from danger but not fully out, and that is it. It is all over. Orlando City holds on to defeat Charlotte FC by a final score of 2-1.
Can I get a medium iced coffee?
And that is how it all sounded with us this past weekend here with Charlotte FC. A very unfortunate situation that developed there at the end of the opening half. There was that goal that was scored, Juan going to Facunzo Torres. A lot of people kind of taking the blame of that one. Titi Ortiz is the one who bore the brunt of it, getting the sub right there in the 45-minute mark. Jalen Lindsay spoke after the match, the lone player we had access to following, and he said it was a collective error from the side.
We've, coaching staff puts in a lot of work to, put in certain tactics on, whether it's, opposing corners or just corners for us. And I think just kind of in the back, we kind of got mixed up with some different roles. And, these are type of moments that, we have to build and learn from. And, I don't think all of us were kind of on the right, on the same page. And that's on us as players. As players, we got to be, the coaching staff puts in a lot of hours and work to, give us tactics, to kind of follow with our roles, and everybody's got to follow our roles. So, as much as it, it hurts because, it's something we've practiced, most of the week, and, to let, a goal go in like that, it's pretty devastating especially for me. So that's just on the players, and, it's just something that, we got to learn from and just kind of move on from there.
Well said and well spoken by Jalen Lindsay on that unfortunate goal, which ended up being the game winner. I know Christian Fuchs had some pointed comments on the TV copy as well. But Charlotte FC, I think we learned a lot from them on the road. We learned that they are still a competitive team. They're still a team that's going to be in every match. It's just there are some sort of fine-tuning errors that unfortunately have led this team to drop a couple of contests. The New England contest was one where you had a goal that basically was put in off a dirty clearance. There was another game that had Christian Kalina had a faulty clearance as well. This one that really was just, again, poor positioning that allowed a long run to go about the wayside. But I think the one thing that I want to see more of is that not necessarily on the defensive side, but I feel like offensively we've lacked a certain finishing touch, and we've also lacked the ability to put balls inside the area. I had a stat during the broadcast that had us down for, I think, 41.3% of our shots coming into the contest were on target. Well, the only shot that we put on target in the contest last weekend was the Christian Fuchs penalty, which you heard in the 60th minute. They were not very good at really testing Pedro Gallese, and I do feel like that's something that they need to do a lot more of this week against an Inter Miami squad that, quite honestly, is going to be coming in rather reeling. They have two center backs down because of red card suspensions and one down because of an injury. We'll get an update on Campana when we do our opposition research with Thomas Rongan from the Inter Miami radio crew. But even if Campana is able to play, that's still a unit that's down a couple of players. We also know about what's going on with Gonzalo Higuain. So there's a lot to account for in terms of the negative when it comes to Inter Miami, and add in the fact that we're playing them in our home building where we've been rather salty, getting a couple of very big wins, not only against Atlanta, but also FC Cincinnati, as well as New England Revolution earlier in this campaign. Of course, though, it would not be a Crown Corner if we didn't hear from my esteemed partner, Jessica Charman. As I mentioned, she's off calling a soccer game right now in Georgia, the Georgia High School State Finals, and is going to do a fantastic job with all the interviews, including her talk with George Marks. Here's a little bit of what Jess had to say from this contest this weekend and her conversation as part of the Goalkeepers Union.
Unique Crown Corner time to reflect for me. Jessica Charman, of course, unfortunately unable to join Willie P live today with his takes on the match against Orlando City. I'm currently commentating the Georgia High School Association's championship matches. You can tune into those. I'll post a link in my Twitter, of course. So Orlando City, 2-1 your scoreline. How did I feel? Well, anyone that listened live knows that I was very frustrated with the first half performance from Charlotte FC. Obviously, we talked about how Orlando City was able to hit the woodwork and was hoping that we would respond in a similar way to Colorado with a positive way of responding. And that was not the case, unfortunately. Almost immediately afterwards, we conceded a goal where There was a breakdown in the box. Jalen Lindsey was beaten on the near post, cut back across. Ruan, Orlando City's fullback, with an open goal. The more I think back to that, the more I wonder what we could have done differently there. It's my opinion that both fullbacks in Christian Fuchs and Jalen Lindsey will probably have wanted that goal back. Jalen Lindsey, someone that I've praised so much this season, unfortunately beaten a little too easily in the box, needed to stand his ground and probably time the tackle better. Once that ball's played across, who's meant to stick with Ruan? Well, my only answer is probably the left back in that scenario. So Christian Fuchs will have wanted to track his man better. This is something that we've had warning signs this season, of course. We've had several screen grabs posted this season of moments where we haven't necessarily tracked with our runners on the back post. For me, that's a positional thing. You've got to be checking your shoulders. And as a goalkeeper, it's also partially your fault. I was a goalkeeper, and of course, anytime something happened where someone was left unmarked, you have to look at yourself. Because at the end of the day, as a goalkeeper, you are the voice of reason. You are the person that's meant to see everything, and you should be communicating with your defenders to stick with players. Now, that rolls straight into the second goal we conceded. This, I think I described on air as a moment that you only see in youth soccer, probably a little harshly so in hindsight, but it's one where you've just got to be more organized. I was urging us forwards in the broadcast. You've got a couple of minutes until the halftime break. You've got a corner. It's a fantastic opportunity to get the ball into the mixer, create an opportunity. And if you're able to get the distribution in for the corner and score a goal, what a fantastic time to score a goal. But taking those risks, pushing forwards, has to come with responsibility. And for Charlotte FC to push everybody forward, whoever was meant to stay back in the camera angle, it looked like Titi Ortiz or Jalen Lindsey should have been staying back. They didn't. They pushed forward. They urged. They wanted to get forward. They wanted to get onto things, but that came with a cost. And when you're able to break forward and Ruan is able to get the ball and drive at you and you've got no one back, that's a real problem. You've got to look first at the corner kick taker. It has to be a better delivery into the box. That's an area I think we need to work on. And we saw Josviak taking the corners in the second half, or at least one of them, and put a better service in. If you're away from home, you're not going to get that many opportunities. Set plays are so important to get right, and we just haven't had the service from corners. Obviously, we scored an Olympico. Not many people do that. But in general, the service from corners has to be better. You've got to give, particularly your defenders that have come the whole way up the pitch, you've got to give them an opportunity. And we just didn't do that. So number one, the corner was taken poorly. And after that, the discipline wasn't there. Again, as a goalkeeper, you never let that happen. You've got to be screaming and bawling at your defenders to stay organized. And if you see them wandering off into no man's land, you tell them to get back. You yell at them to get back. And I think that's why you notice Christian Kleiner also apologetic in that one. They go into halftime. They're obviously frustrated. What I am proud of, because obviously it sounds very negative right now, is the way that Charlotte FC was able to respond. We did better in the second half. There was still a lot that was left, but the fight was just a little bit better. Ben Bender came in for Titi Ortiz and really had a point to prove, got his head down, worked hard, made a difference in that midfield. We're able to obviously get our goal back. Christian Fuchs, the captain, with the composure from the penalty. We all know that it's from 12 yards. Everyone expects you to score a penalty, but until you're in that moment, under that pressure, no one can really estimate how difficult that is. So Christian Fuchs did a great job scoring that penalty. But again, a little too little, a little too late for Charlotte FC, and some questions about the defensive organization. We look best going forwards with our wingers when we're able to get bodies forward. We look best when we're making runs into the box and giving ourselves some options going forward. Christian Fuchs, our left back, our 36-year-old left back, looked to have the most energy on the pitch, put in some of the best balls of the match. Now, yes, that's fantastic for Christian Fuchs, but that concerns you for the other players on the pitch. There should be other bodies going forwards. And we also just need to have more organization defensively. If our fullbacks go forward, it's our centre-back's job to read the ball better. We created a couple of opportunities, a couple of decent opportunities. We just got to hit the target. It's been a difficult road trip. It has the 1 point of the 3 matches. It's frustrating because we've performed fairly well on the road, but we've been our own worst enemy at times from the goals that we've conceded. This is something that we can say is early on in the season. It's only going to be better. We've just got to get more organized. Positive that we got that goal back. And the most important positive, of course, is we're back at Bank of America Stadium this weekend. And I cannot wait to be calling the match at home And here is a fantastic interview. Of course, as a goalkeeper, I was very delighted to have the opportunity to talk to George Marks, who probably obviously won't be featuring on Saturday against Inter Miami, but will have a golden opportunity in US Open Cup on Wednesday. Over to the training ground. Well, it wouldn't be GK Union without me. We're missing Willie P, but we'll be just fine. I bring on George Marks, our signing and star of the Open Cup. George, how are you feeling after your performance in the Open Cup?
I'm feeling good. It was really good to get my feet wet and be out there with the team for the first time. And it was a tough place to get a result. And we were happy to do it midweek in between two tough MLS games. So it was a great experience.
How difficult do you think it is when you're on the bench week in, week out as a goalkeeper to come in and start when you don't have that option to come in with minutes barring an injury during a match?
Yeah, it's definitely difficult, but I think it's something that I relish, especially being in a backup slot so far this year, priding myself on being ready and treating every single day like I'm going to play on the weekend, so that whenever that comes, whether I know about it, like I did in the Open Cup, or whether something happened and I need to go in for an MLS game, I feel like I'd be ready.
And we talk about the GK Union. For those that don't know, GK Union's like this unspoken group of how goalkeepers support each other in their own unique way. They're always happy for each other. How strong is the GK Union at Charlotte FC?
I'd say it's really strong. In just about every way that you could say it would be strong. I think first and foremost on the field, I think we've got 4 fantastic goalkeepers with a wealth of experience, different ranges of experience. Me being a rookie my first year, you got Adrian Zendejas, been in the league for a few years. Pablo, who's played games in the league for a few years, and then Christian Kalina coming in from Europe, who's got an even different set of skills and experiences from his time there. So I think we each bring something to training, and like we were saying kind of before the show started, it's the most competitive group on the field. Only one guy plays, and everyone wants to play. So everyone's on it every single day, and everyone knows that if they don't perform, the next guy's there to step up.
And anyone that follows the goalkeepers on social media saw today you made a post about being the first in to practice, the last out. Can you explain a little bit about that?
Kalina wanted that picture because we were all pumped up. We had just done an upper body workout. So we wanted to get a little picture while we were looking our best. But no, I mean, it is the truth, just because, like I said, it's the nature of the position. Only one of us is playing. So we're all kind of chasing each other as far as our habits, lifestyle, and making sure that we're doing everything possible to not only help the team, but boost our own individual performance.
Back when you were signed and you were drafted, there was a little video that went out from the club that talked about the draft and a bit of a surprise FaceTime call you got from Miguel. Can you talk a little bit about that? I thought that was crazy.
Yeah, no. I look back on that day with some fond memories, but a lot of stressful memories, just because, so basically what had happened was I had spoken to Miguel and some other people from Charlotte before the draft, and they had basically told me that they were going to get me if it was possible. And I thought that I might have gone a little bit earlier, but it wasn't on the cards for the day. So I was freaking out a little bit. And of course, to add to it, the MLS stream just basically crashed. It was right after one of my teammates got drafted. I think it was like round 2, pick 14 or 16 or something. So he got drafted and no pick came in for like 30 minutes. And we're like, well, maybe there's a big trade going on, but likely it's just the whole site's crashed. So we're all just kind of sitting there. There's a few of us who hadn't been drafted yet. We were kind of just like waiting in the wings. And then I got a FaceTime from Miguel, and he was like, hey, like, how excited are you? I was like, and we like we picked you. I was like, oh, okay. I'm really excited now, but I didn't know and he was like, you didn't know it, you didn't see it on the TV? I was like, nope, it's been stuck like around earlier. So very anxious, but obviously when I got that call, it was pretty euphoric just to share that with my friends and family and teammates in Clemson.
Miguel was probably worried. He was like, is he not happy to come?
Yeah, exactly. It was like, basically I got a FaceTime and it was from Miguel's phone, but it was like everyone was on the call, like all the assistant coaches, like Zoran, Bobby. So it was like a wealthy people. It was like, oh, okay, something good must have happened. So it was great.
And obviously, as a North Carolina boy, how special is it to be playing in the Carolinas with Charlotte FC?
Yeah, it's awesome. my home club when I was a youth was North Carolina FC, which is another USL team, and they had a bid for an MLS as well. So I was kind of always hoping that, I'd be able to get involved somehow, some way, in North Carolina in MLS, and that it would all be started up in time. And it all the cards kind of came together, and they fell the right way for me, and it's been fantastic. And I've said it on a few different things, but it makes it so easy for me to have so much pride for what I'm doing. Obviously, I've got my own individual goals and the team goals that we want to chase every day, but to be able to wear a badge that means so much to the people and the fans in my home state has been absolutely wonderful.
Did you expect the fans to be as bought in immediately as they were, or has it been a bit of a surprise to even you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think I had a little bit of a sense just because I think I have been around the soccer scene in North Carolina for so long. And I knew how much that the fans kind of were craving this sort of opportunity and top level team. But no, it's even knocked me away a little bit. Just because, I'm semi-familiar with Charlotte, but I'm originally from Raleigh, and obviously I went to school in Clemson, and those are both in really close proximity, but I'd never truly explored Charlotte. So even though I was coming here, it was a little familiar. It was also a lot of new. So the first game, I mean, obviously I think everyone was blown away, but even every single game since, it's not only the amount of people in the stadium, but the amount of passion they bring is unbelievable.
And you talked a little bit about Clemson. How was your ride there? Obviously a national champion right before you graduated. Played 3 years as a starting goalkeeper. Talk about your time at Clemson and how amazing it was to play there.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. It was definitely one of the best decisions of my life. I think on the soccer field, obviously I developed so much, but the main growth steps were just as a man and as a leader, managing that busy of a schedule that hopefully I'll never have to manage a schedule that busy ever again. But yeah, I think it's really prepped me for this lifestyle now because I had so many spinning plates, and now I have one spinning plate mostly, but it's even heightened and the level's gone up so much. So it's a new challenge here, but I think Clemson, it helped me so much. And I, from the time I went in to the time I left, I think just about anyone who has interacted with me would say that I'm probably a pretty changed person, hopefully for the better.
And I think you're being a bit humble. Obviously in the national championship run, you had a huge impact. Penalty shootouts in a couple of matches. How was that in terms of your performance? Do you feel like you played a pivotal role in taking home the cup?
Yeah. I mean, I think throughout the whole year, I thought I felt pretty good about my performances. And obviously my role in that game was, especially in the semifinal and mainly the quarterfinal, was just heightened, and maybe I was highlighted a little bit more. But no, I mean, I think I was kind of doing the same little things, throughout the season, and I was really happy with myself. And I think I prepared so that when those big moments came and in the big games, I think I was ready to just take it like it was any other day.
And what do you think your strengths are as a goalkeeper?
Mainly, probably the first one is the reason why I came here is my feet, just vision, playing across the field, playing with both feet, playing side volleys out of hands, distribution from hands. Something I pride myself on, and I think the team prides ourselves on. You can see a lot of the times when Chris is playing in the games, it's a big emphasis for us, and that goes all the way down the goalkeeper union. So that's something that I think separates me. And then a lot of intangibles. I think I'm a pretty good leader. I think I'm a good role model for young and older guys alike. Obviously, this is definitely a different leadership position than I had at Clemson, but I'm trying to take it in stride and affect the team in the best way possible.
And you mentioned Christian Kalina. I asked him when he was on Crown Corner about goalkeepers are crazy, right? We talk about that, having a mentality. You're throwing your face in front of balls. You're being brave. Do you think goalkeepers are crazy?
I guess in a way. I don't know. I'm so wrapped up in it. It's pretty tough to say. But when I sit down and think of it, yeah, it doesn't make that much sense that I would find joy from putting some pretty precious parts of my body in front of the ball. But I love it. I mean, it's just funny because you just get smashed with the ball, and maybe there's a little bit of pain associated, but the main thing is just joy that it hasn't gone in. So
it's an adrenaline, right? There's a real adrenaline about taking that risk.
Yeah, I love it. So
that's so funny. Yeah. What else do I have? You put me on the spot. Willie dropped me out. Who is your biggest influence as a goalkeeper?
Oh, it's a tough question. There's one guy, Buffon, since I was young. I had a best friend who lived across the street from me. from the time I was young, and he was Italian, and raised in a Italian family, and he was kind of my first like introduction to like international football. And we would go out in the front yard every single day, and he would be Totti and I would be Buffon, and there was a little gap in between two fence links, and that was the goal. And we go back and forth till it got dark out, and then we'd go inside once it got dark, and we watched Buffon best 100 saves over and over until we couldn't watch anymore. So
I guess your Buffon is my David Seaman. I was a big fan of David Seaman, and I would watch his videos growing up all the time.
David Seaman was a little bit before my time, but no, I've watched him.
Whoa, I am only like 4 years older than you. That is rude. I am disrespected by that, sir.
No, I'm just, I think I got into it a little bit later. Obviously, I could have watched him when I was younger, but I missed out on the opportunity.
That's a good question. I read that you began goalkeeping at 10 years old. What were you before a goalkeeper?
Striker, just like every goalkeeper.
And why did you make the change?
I don't have like a story like a lot of goalkeepers have, where it was like, oh, like this is when I don't know. I just ended up being a goalkeeper, and I think I was just, maybe like you said, goalkeepers are crazy. I just enjoyed it right off the bat. The role of taking away goals and making everyone on the field, even in the youth days, angry. So take the joy out of football.
2 matches coming up this week, obviously Inter Miami in MLS, and then Open Cup on the road. We'll go to Open Cup just because hopefully you'll be getting to play. How much are you looking forward to taking on Richmond? It's a difficult place to go.
Yeah, to be honest, I haven't even really looked too much forward into it yet. I think right now the emphasis is all on Miami and this weekend, and being ready for whatever that has in store. But after that, I mean, it's going to be a quick turn the page that night. Hopefully after a big win, we'll turn our eyes to Richmond, and we'll see what challenges that presents.
The ultimate professional, George Marks, thanks so much for joining us on Crown Corner. And as I said off air, I'm looking forward to joining you guys for a goalkeeper session in the future.
Good deal. See you soon. Look forward to it.
That is great stuff from a real great goalkeeper for us, George Marks. Fantastic stuff from him and from Jess, part of the goalkeeper union here on Crown Corner. Let's see if we can bring Jess on, just because Jess has been getting herself ready over at the Georgia State High School. We found a window in the rain that's happening in Georgia to bring Jess on. What's up, partner?
Well, it was all well and good until the lightning delay. I'm really hoping, let's knock on some wood, that we never have to experience this at Bank of America Stadium. We're here at the Georgia.
You said something. Didn't you say something earlier this week that like we had really dodged a lot of our weather karma, and it's befalling you now, unfortunately?
Yeah, it is. And Jason Longshore, if he's listening, got a really good match to give me as well. He was meant to be doing this one, and he gave it to me, and I think I know why now, because this is an 80-minute high school match that's already lasted 80 minutes so far. But the best news is I get to join you, Willie. I've been worried about you, worried sick to my stomach about how it's going.
Dude, like it's been fun so far so good. I loved your conversation with George Marks, and mostly because of the fact that they changed where we actually watch training now. So we get to sit right behind where Andy Quee and the goalkeepers are basically set up for most of the match. What he puts those guys through is borderline barbaric. Like it's a lot of just on target shots, a lot of stuff diving back and forth. And I agree. You have to be crazy to have to go through that. It's like the practice, it's very much the cliche. The practice is harder, I think, than any game action would have to be when it comes to being a goalkeeper.
I thought you would have known. You've spent long enough with me now to know that I probably fit in with the mixer, that goalkeepers are crazy.
I just thought that was you.
There's just something really special about goalkeeping practice, though. And like I said earlier on Twitter, you really miss it when you see it. It sounds crazy, but there's an adrenaline about it. There's a real intensity about it. And when you make a save that no one else is capable of doing so, it's the most amazing feeling. And when you get that wow from everyone on your team because you've tipped one over the crossbar, or you've done an incredible one-on-one, it equals how it feels for a striker to score a goal. And maybe even better than that, because there's a lot of people that can strike a ball nice on a team. There's only one or two players, as we see, and it's our goalkeeper crew, the 4 goalkeepers that we're lucky to have at Charlotte FC, that can make a save like George Marks or Christian Kalina. And we've had the honor to talked to both of them, and they've been brilliant, and they're such great guys. And maybe I'm biased, but goalkeepers are very special.
They certainly are. I loved your thoughts on what happened at Orlando. I'd like to keep the Orlando like over here. Like we're done with Orlando. We moved on.
Why? Can I just point out at the comments, Pietro saying that David Seaman, I'm getting criticized for David Seaman, but growing up in England as a goalkeeper, Seaman was someone that, look, he had some howlers. We've all seen some of the mistakes he's made, but one of the stories I tell about David Seaman is there's a video, right? Like a VCR old school video called David Seaman's Goalkeeping Nightmares. And I used to watch that every single night. And it sounds silly, but the reason I used to watch it was because it was like, open your eyes as a young goalkeeper that every goalkeeper is going to make a mistake, right? Every goalkeeper is going to let it through their legs. Every goalkeeper is going to do something stupid. And it was really good to watch because it kind of changed my mentality. And I grew up not afraid to make a mistake. So that's why we're a big fan of David Seaman.
I do love the shout out to Gigi Buffon though from George Marks. That dude is like my hero. From, of course, as I am half Ukrainian and half Italian, Gigi Buffon is like, I love that guy. So I'm a big fan of that.
And what a fantastic goalkeeper he is. And it says a lot about George Marks and his soccer knowledge as well, without sounding like a snob. But, you know, not everyone that grew up in America would have heard or watched Buffon. And I think it's a real testament to how he enjoyed watching that style of goalkeeping. And what we've seen of George Marks so far has been brilliant. He's a guy that's very skillful with the ball at his feet. He's made some great saves. And one of my favorite things about him, he spoke about being a leader, is that it doesn't matter that he's a rookie. It doesn't matter that he's one of the youngest players on the pitch. He will scream at Christian Fuchs. He will scream at Anton Walks. He'll scream at any professional in front of him if it means that he is going to have a more cohesive team.
I will definitely echo those sentiments, and I may have actually had a Francesco Totti situation. I got to go.
I got to go. There's kids walking onto the pitch.
Peace.
It's a sub. Thank you so much to everyone that listened, and keep enjoying Will. He's a very, very smart, ingenious guy. And we'll be back to a normal Crown Corner of sorts in the near future. Love you. Peace. That's Jess. So that's live podcasting at its finest, folks. I have to tell you, that was fun. We thought that we were going to have an opportunity to have her at the end of the program because of the way that the matches were scheduled. We thought that they would end there, but there's a bit of a rain delay down there, so we got her on a little bit sooner. I did not want a chance possibly missing her at the end, but I did want to at least get her opportunity to talk with Thomas Rongen, the radio analyst for Inter Miami. Does a great job with Chris Whittingham on the radio broadcast there for Inter Miami, as we get a little window into our next opponent here at home coming up on Saturday here on Crown Corner.
It's a little bit different today without Willie P, but I cannot wait to do a little bit of opposition research about this weekend's opponent, Inter Miami, with Thomas Rongen, and he is one of the analysts for Inter Miami. Thomas, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fine, Jess. Thanks for having me on, and that's Will's loss, I guess.
Absolutely it is, and I'm delighted to be joined with you. Let's talk big picture. Right now, Inter Miami, of course, sitting in 12th, 3-5-1, a rough start. Found your footwork, but then had a difficult match last week. Big picture, how's Inter Miami doing this season?
Well, big picture, we have to start again into a third year, looking at the off-season first and foremost, where a lot of changes were made. It almost feels like Charlotte FC, like being an expansion team again. Only two starters. Actually, only one of them started in the last game from last year's starting 11 as well. And I think Chris Henderson and Phil Neville have done a good job in collecting talented pieces, and I'm trying to put those together, obviously. That's Phil's job. And tumultuous start of the season where we lost 4 out of 5. Then we had a great run, 4 straight in all competitions, including an Open Cup victory against our local rival, Miami FC. And then the wheels came off a little bit against New England, gave up a goal around a minute, which is never good being on the road. We got 2 huge injuries in the first half, one against our leading goal scorer and probably our best player throughout the start of this year through 9 games in Leo Caparna. And then obviously Mabika, another big force, defensively got injured, 2 red cards, that compounds the problem and you lose 2-0. And indeed, you look at after 9 games in 12th position, tied with Charlotte, by the way, with a game in hand. So that's huge. But a goal differential of -9, and that's where we need to get better. And hopefully we can start doing it against Charlotte. We got a great result against Seattle on the road a few weeks ago in a 1-0 loss, or 1-0 win, sorry, keeping a shutout. And that's something I think that Phil Neville will try to emphasize, as hard as it might be, losing Lowe to a red card, losing Mabika, your two starters as well. And now you put Rodriguez to that, the other center back, gets a red card. And all of a sudden we look very thin defensively. So injuries are a concern going forward against a very good opponent, particularly at home.
Definitely. And you talk about that match against New England. I had an opportunity to watch the highlights before we popped on today. 54 seconds, I think you conceded in. You're trying to play out of the back. That was kind of caught by a high press. Has that been something you've struggled with a little bit this season? Do you think there's a risk of playing out the back?
It's not only been a problem this season, but all 3 years, I think. And Phil wants to play the right way. And the right way is through possession, building out of your defensive third, through your center backs or your fullbacks, or a number 6 dropping in. And that's where, as you said so correctly, the disconnect was. Marston is trying to find his holding midfielder, which is Jean Mota at this particular. Just a little bit of a poor ball, gets intercepted by Heel, one pass later in the back of your net before a minute in. So I think that Phil needs to look at that and see, is there a plan B for us? Can we be a little bit more direct at times, especially on the road? There's nothing wrong with that, turning our teams around and then getting your lines up. And in particular with the limitations defensively right now, hopefully Capana is day to day, he'll be ready, which is a bigger force on top as well. And you can maybe play with a little bit more directness and force the game maybe a little bit in an ugly way towards your opponent on the road, on turf, which will be our 5th consecutive game, I think, on turf as well. Seattle, Miami, obviously New England as well, or this is the 4th one. I think injuries had something to do with that, and we're just not accustomed to playing on turf, you can tell.
And you mentioned the 2 red cards. They weren't straight reds. It was 2 second yellows. Do you think that says a little something about the defender's mentality, poor decision-making while being on a yellow card? Should you avoid being in those challenges to cost your team 2 players?
Yeah, I think we've gained a reputation a little bit throughout the years. Last year was also a lot of red cards. None of those players are there, but I think that referees probably look at Inter Miami and say they're physical, they're hard, and some of them are unnecessary. And Phil addressed that after the game. The first thing he said, we didn't have enough discipline. We should do better. Be it, Rodriguez, time wasting is the first yellow one. A niggly foul, 60 yards away from goal for both yellow cards. And then the second one, they have to take one for the team, and all of a sudden you're looking at a second yellow as well. So yes, Phil is right. I think that discipline has been an issue for this team, and it's something that Phil Neville right now is tackling. Be smarter. Don't overcommit aggressively if there's no need for it in certain areas of the field. We get a lot of yellow cards talking to the referee or as I said again, gamesmanship, so to speak, on unprofessional behavior, and there's no need for that. And I think this team can clean that up and needs to clean that up as well, because we're not very deep, so you can ill afford losing players due to cards or injuries for that matter. And talking about injuries, you 2 big number 9s, Higuain and Campana right now on the injury list. Only a game day decision, I think it will be for both if they would start on the road against Charlotte FC.
And how costly at those centre-back positions is it going to be? Do you have an idea of how you're going to adjust to losing not only your 2 centre-backs through red cards, but also injuries?
Yeah, I mean, Phil in preseason played predominantly out of a 3-5-2. So based on numbers, you might be forced to go to a 3 maybe. I mean, Kieran Gibbs is back, finally got his first minutes. So if you talk about Kieran Gibbs in his zone, McVeigh, the Swedish international that has a U.S. passport, can play centrally. You can play Yetlin or somebody else in that right zone as well. So there are some options, but not a lot of options for Phil Neville. So he'll look at Charlotte FC's strength. He'll look at our current situation and then go from there. But they're comfortable out of a 4. They're comfortable out of a 3-5-2, although you like Yetlin in a 3-5-2 to play a little bit higher up the pitch, obviously, and not become one of your 3 center backs. And that might be, the only option maybe to do that. Gregory can play there, so that's an option maybe. So that remains to be seen. And I know that Phil is working on both a back four and a back three in the next few days.
Awesome. You mentioned Leo Campagna, and obviously for Charlotte FC fans, probably wondering whether he's going to be there. Let's imagine he's there. 5 goals on the season. The young Ecuadorian's really taken MLS by storm. Saw his perfect hat trick that he scored a couple of weeks back. If he is there, how good has he been for Inter Miami this season?
He's been class throughout. Not only has he scored, but his hold-up play has been absolutely brilliant at 21 years old. He's got a good big frame, technically sound, brave as well, unselfish. He also plays Bryce Duke in for the winner against Atlanta, where he could have taken a shot himself, but he rewarded Duke for his run for us to beat Atlanta 2-1. So it's pretty good. Involvement in 6 goals out of 9. By a number 9 that is on loan with an option to buy from Wolves. So it's very interesting. He was a leading goal scorer in the Under-20 World Cup qualifying and did very well for Ecuador in the World Cup for the Under-20 team as well. And he's had some sniffs and looks of the senior national team. And he said to Phil Neville, I want to play for the Ecuadorian national team in the World Cup. And Phil said, if you score goals, you might end up there. So that's what he's doing. I hope he's healthy, because not only for us, but I think for the fans in your stadium, to see a player like that at 21, that's pretty special. I think will be worth the admission.
And you parallel him, the youth, and the youngster trying to prove himself, with Higuain, a player that is a household name. From the outside in, a little bit of issues with body language, a little bit of issues. Where's the captain's armband? But maybe isn't always the leader. How has he been this season for you?
Actually, he's been great. I mean, I go to the practices quite regularly. He's played, a few minutes, has scored this year. And it's a different Higuain. I think last year, the chemistry of this team wasn't the right one. That's the reason why Chris and Phil decided to make so many changes and just wanted to remove certain people out of the locker room. We were under duress financially as well, obviously, with some of the sanctions. So we needed to get rid of some bodies that had big salaries, so to speak, in order for us to bring in lower salary guys, younger, or faster, but better on the counter out wide with Lassiter or Robinson were pretty good. Yetlin had 2 assists on the year, coming from deep positions as well. But the number 9 position is crucial. And I think that Higuain, now looking over his shoulder and looking at a 21-year-old Campana, is saying, you know what, there's competition. And he came in off the bench against Atlanta when we were up 2-1 and worked extremely hard. Got injured, unfortunately, worked through it, but had to miss the next game. And talking about attitude and body language, so much better than we've seen in previous years or previous games from Higuain. So that good collective energy.
That's what happens when you're kept on your toes a little bit, right? When you've got pressure on your back.
I'm telling you, when I was a coach in MLS, and I coached 4 teams, by the way, nothing better than depth.
Hey, former MLS Coach of the Year. I saw that.
That's right. And won a cup as well with DC United. So I got a ring somewhere, not on yet, but it's laying somewhere. Quality depth is great. Makes for better practice sessions. Keeps players honest and on their toes as well. Healthy competition is huge in any sport, for that matter. So you don't have to drive your players each and every day, and complacency, sooner or later, human nature will set in. That won't happen this year, I think, with this group here, which is important. We need to get healthy. We need to stay smart in terms of cards. And then I think, a run at the playoffs is a possibility. I think that's the first goal of this clip this year.
And one final one from me. Obviously, do your job as an analyst for me. One key to the game for Inter Miami to take 3 points out of this match against Charlotte FC.
Oh God! Well, don't concede early. I think that's been a mantra. We're not a very good team from behind, so don't concede. And the second key to me is there's a certain push the threshold of pain a little bit further. Refuse to lose. Those kind of things came to mind in the 4-game streak. The most important thing is, if you look at our plus minuses, we need to start having a clean sheet, and that's to me the key. If you can keep a clean sheet, I know it sounds simple, you're in every game and potentially can win a game as well. But I think a draw on the road, even at zeros, to talk that way, would be a big benefit. So keep the zero and let the game dictate, or let the game allow you what it gives you, and then take it if you can on the road late, potentially with the winner.
Well, you heard it here on Crown Corner, guys. 0-0 can be one of the most exciting scorelines in soccer. Thomas Rongen, Inter Miami FC, and analyst. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Jess. Take care.
Thomas Rongen, he pointed a very bleak picture when it comes to the center backs that they have down. We'll see if Charlotte FC can take advantage, possibly with their new striker/forward, Andre Shinyashiki. Saw him at training today, and man, he's silky smooth. I'm wondering if this might be the first week where we see an insertion of Josviak into the starting lineup, maybe some Shinyashiki in there as well. Don't know if Andre is able to at least get enough time to play as a starting player for Charlotte FC. We'll get an opportunity to see what looks like tomorrow, and we'll have an opportunity to obviously see it on Saturday at Bank of America Stadium. I know there's a couple people on the broadcast who have mentioned this, and they wanted me to touch on the news of the day from Charlotte FC, which is the departure of Nick Kelly from the organization. He announced his resignation this morning. Came as a shock to all of us, honestly, as somebody who considers Nick not only a colleague but also a friend. I'm very surprised by this, but I know that a lot of the first fruits and building blocks of this organization and this club have the fingerprints of Nick Kelly on that. So I do feel like any credit that goes to this club goes through his mind and through his fingertips. But I also know that there are still plenty of very capable people with this organization, namely Joe LeBou, who has stepped into the presidentship and been a fantastic help to that organization. Of course, the people on the sporting director's side, I had a great conversation yesterday with Zoran Cornetta, which you can find on WFNZ's podcast page under the Clubhouse with Kyle Bailey page. Had some great stuff about the future of this organization, not just the addition of Andre Shinyashiki, but also that of Kerwin Vargas, who's going to be here in a couple of weeks off of getting his visa from Portugal. But I do feel like all the best will be realized for all parties involved. I know that there's some people who have a little bit of angst going on right now, but I feel like, at least from Charlotte FC's perspective, I think all is well, despite today's news. We do also have some opportunities to hear from our supporters, as we do every week. Matt Chantry from Min City Collective sits down with Jessica Charman in this week's Supporter Spotlight.
All right, it's time for one of my favorite sections of the show, the Supporter Spotlight. And today we're going to be joined from Matt from Mint City Collective. We are back with Mint City Collective. How are you doing, Matt?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Jess?
Very well, thank you. Okay, we're 10 games into the season. We never thought we'd get to this point. 3 wins, obviously all at home, a bit of a struggle on the road. How are you feeling as a Charlotte FC fan?
I'm feeling pretty good at the moment. The way I've kind of phrased it to people who've asked similar kind of questions before is I feel like we're at par right now, and to use a golf term. Like I feel like we're about where I'd expect to be from before the season and where I'd expect to be in terms of an expansion team in MLS. Where I don't think we've been great. I don't think we've been terrible. I think we've been just about where I expected to be, which is good, because what I've seen historically with MLS expansion teams is it takes a little while to get going. You find out, we thought this would work. It doesn't. You find out where the weak links are. And then second half of the season, you start finding out what your best team is. You fix those broken parts of the team. You improve the formation. You improve the personnel that you've got. And then kick on in that second half of the season. And that's really what I'm hoping that we manage to do.
And talking of one thing that's definitely working, our fan base has been incredible. We've been on the road, obviously. How has it been hosting those watch parties? What's the showing been like in the crowd?
Yeah, absolutely superb. Not just the watch parties, but like going to the games themselves. So signing off for the watch parties, just because you mentioned them. For us, we've had them all over Charlotte, and also a couple of other places in North Carolina as well. In Charlotte, we've got them up in Nodar, down in Matthews. The west side of Charlotte, South Park, Ballantyne, Lake Norman, we're all over, and it's been great. Not just the fact that they've been well attended, especially those first couple of games, but really it stayed consistent throughout. Like it's been very, very good, well attended every single game. The bars that we work with that show the games are always great to us. They're really, really supportive. Obviously, sometimes you're fighting to get things like sound put on, but we got these bars to basically commit to working with us at the start of the season and said, hey, like you guys are going to be able to do this and show every game, show sound, and not let anything else, whether it be the Masters or Duke UNC basketball games.
Turn the golf off.
Sorry?
Turn the golf off, right? Tell them to
Exactly.
turn the golf off.
And they've been fantastic, yeah. And some of them is like, especially I'll shout out Salute and Carolina Beer Temple down in Matthews Salute in Nodar, as being ones that we've worked with for a while now. And they're awesome people to work with, and anything we ask of them, they're always there for us. And it's not even just MCC people in there as well. We always invite everyone to come and watch games with us and chat with us and just be fans together. And it's been superb, especially after the last couple of years. Having the opportunity to do that again is nice, and it's just really great to be part of the community. We've enjoyed it a lot. But then going to the away matches that we've been to in person, one of the things I've loved about us being as a new team is that we've already received plaudits from various MLS pundits about how great our away support is as an expansion team. DC United away, we got a lot of kudos from people, which was great. Atlanta away, same kind of thing again. Greenville away in the US Open Cup, we got really good plaudits from some of those pundits saying the numbers that we took, the noise that we made, what a great set of supporters we were. That was really heartening to hear, and just a few games into a new team that we've already been able to do that. And we've had games, obviously, far away that people have gone to as far away as Philadelphia, as New England, and some people like Chico in our group that I think a lot of listeners will recognize at this point as he's been to every single away game, every single game for Charlotte FC since the DC game. He's been to all of them, which is fantastic that people are already doing that. And yeah, it's just been a fantastic time to be a new fan.
It's incredible. And back at home on Saturday, of course, how excited are you guys about having the tailgate, about the march, and just bringing the home atmosphere and the 12th man advantage? Yeah,
really, really, really excited. I will say it's a bit frustrating that the way the schedule works out with 3 away games and then 3 home games. It's like not really something I'm used to coming from the European side. Usually most I think you ever have is maybe 2 away games, 2 home games in a row. So it's been a bit of an oddity for us, kind of like navigating through that and kind of like trying to keep that momentum going through the last few weeks, which we think we have done. And now, of course, we've got kind of like the opposite problem where we've now got a lot of work to do for every week. We get through this match on Saturday into Miami, and then we're on to planning for the next game straight away again. So, and then again after that. So it's kind of famine, then famine, then the feast afterwards. But it's going to be great. The tailgate so far have been superb. That's actually been one of my personal favorite things about what we've done so far is having all the supporters groups come together, being fans together. We walk around and chat with each other. We have drinks with one another. We eat together. There's kids games going on there, foosball tables, cornhole, and all sorts of other games. I'm not even sure the name of them. It's just really, really good atmosphere. And I think there was after the LA game, an LA fan said, hey, this is great. Like, we don't see this in LA. All the supporters groups go and do their own thing. So it's been really, really fantastic to see that we're already getting a reputation for being such a together fan base, and also welcoming away fans into there. Yeah. I'll shout out the QC Royals who do a great job of that, of their away game, away fan packages that they put together where they tell them about Charlotte and welcome them into the tailgate. The fact that we're able to do that and building up a reputation as a welcoming and friendly fan base is something that I'm really proud of as well. So great, but as I said, with that comes a lot of work. The TIFOs, we've done TIFOs for every game. We've got 3 TIFOs coming over the next 3 weeks now. Obviously, we've got high expectations that we've built based on that first one, and based on the ones we've done since then. I'm actually going out this evening to help on the TIFO for the Miami game. So it's a lot of fun, a lot of work at the same time, but wouldn't trade it for anything in the world.
And from our perspective, the hard work pays off. I know something else you're working hard on is your charity initiatives. I believe you're doing some stuff for Pride Month. Can you talk a little bit about that with us?
Yeah, so this is just the kick of what we've done so far, but Min City just released our Pride scarf and Pride sunglasses in the last couple of days. $10 for the scarf will go to Time Out Youth, and I believe it's $2 from the sunglasses go to Time Out Youth. I may be getting that number slightly incorrect, but so that's just the beginning of what we're doing. Our motto as a group is welcome one, welcome you all. And we want to make sure that we live that as well. And this is the very beginning of starting to do that for Pride Month specifically. And there's more to come over the next few months.
And I'd be amiss. Obviously, got a fellow Brit on here, and I think it's Yall. We have to say it correctly, right? Anyone that follows WFNZ has heard me on Footy Foodie Friday, as we like to call it. Are you a Marmite consumer?
I am a Marmite consumer, yes. Yeah, Marmite gets a bad rep, especially from some of your fellow WFNZ teammates. I wouldn't say I eat it all the time, but I certainly enjoy it a lot more than they did.
Absolutely. And favorite British snack?
So I've come prepared. So actually, my parents came over from England last week, and they're still actually here in America.
Are they coming to the game?
They are coming to the game.
My parents are coming too. We'll have a little British get together.
Exactly. We'll show the Americans how it's done. So they come. They come obviously during COVID. They couldn't come over too much, but they usually come over every 4 or 5 months. And one of the things that I always get them to bring over is cherry bakewells. They have like 5 or 6 packets that they stuff into their suitcases. So please, no one grass them up to.
I was going to say, are they allowed to bring that many in?
I'm not sure. Please don't tell the Department of Homeland Security about this. But yeah, I'll show the packet. I had it ready. I'm not sure how it's showing up on camera, but yeah, Mr. Kipling cherry bakewells are my guilty pleasure, and I get them brought over every time.
And I'll say that's a delicious pastry. Matt from Mint City Collective. They can follow you on Twitter. How do they get a hold of Mint City?
At Mint City Collective on Twitter, at Mint City COLL actually. Same on Instagram. We're on Facebook as well. Our website is www.mintcitycollective.com.
Keep up the good fight. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure talking as always.
Thank you, Jess.
Sorry, Jess and Matt. Marmite's still disgusting. That's just my own opinion. But good stuff. Great stuff leading up to the lusting over the English food. That was great until we got to that part. But hope you guys have enjoyed this today. I know that's been a little bit of an oddball around Crown Corner. We got a couple minutes left, so I'll take any more of your questions that you might have. I know Scott wanted to know earlier about the offensive additions and how it might look. Look, I wouldn't be surprised to see Miguel switch some things up this week, just because I know it's a couple of weeks now that we haven't really had a goal from open play. I know we were all very enamored by what they did during the homestand with the 4-4-2 diamond. I don't know if necessarily there's anything that we can look at and say is necessarily advantageous about that situation. I know that we really praised Daniel Rios's dirty work during that time, but I feel like teams are now starting to account for Carroll, and he needs better service. The fact that we now have somebody like Andre Shinyashiki who can profile as a winger, that can really be a good part, at least on that flank, to give you some more width. Maybe have him and Camille as both the wings. Again, I'm not sure. Maybe even play Carroll as a winger and play Andre as a center striker. I don't know. There's certainly a lot of desirable stuff, though, that you can use in terms of that. When it comes to the possession, I really do feel like that could possibly help there. And Dave brings up a good point, hoping that the additions do break up the predictability of our play at and in the box. I just feel like so many times we got down to the attacking third and in the final third and really just gave away possession too easily and too meekly. And I feel like we need to get more shots on target. We need to get better chances on goal. Jess said it very brilliantly in the broadcast on Saturday, saying that we need to necessarily basically have things going more forward with regards to having that clinical finish and not trying to be prettying it up so much at the end. A shot on target is not necessarily a bad play. Diamond does lock us in going down the middle. It's just I feel like there's a lot to be desired when it comes to that. And we've seen Carroll do well at his feet, Dave. I mean, it's not as if something that he lacks ingenuity or technical skill with his feet. It's just a matter of he hasn't gotten the right service or needs a little bit more lead time at it. And we've seen them work on that in training, and we'll see whether or not that comes to play out this week. I'm very, very curious to see how exactly it plays out. I know we'll get one more opportunity to see them tomorrow and the ability to hear from Miguel Angel Ramirez. So be looking out for that across not only our social media, but also on our flagship station, WFNZ's programming. Again, Saturday afternoon is the tilt. It's going to be a little hot. I know that there might be a chance for a stray thunder shower, but we're hoping that stays away. 3:30 is the kick time. It's actually closer to about 3:50 because the game is on Unimas nationally, but it will be available for you on radio on WFNZ and across the Charlotte FC radio network. We'll be on the air at 3 o'clock with the opportunity to talk to you from Bank of America Stadium. We're so happy to be back at the bank for that contest coming up on Saturday, excuse me. We got 2 Saturdays and 1 Sunday upcoming. And of course, also, we'll be back here next week to preview what's going on with the U.S. Open Cup round of 32 match against Richmond. Not sure how we're going to figure that out. We might do something similar to what we've done with Greenville, but Jess and I will huddle on that and give you the best of our opportunity to preview that coming up here a week from now. But for now, for my producer Unseen, Matt Hogan, and for Jess Charman, who is, again, down in Georgia calling great high school soccer, I'm Will Pelagic saying thank you so much for listening and watching Crown Corner. We'll be back hopefully with a more conventional setup next week, and we'll talk to you on the broadcast Saturday at 3 o'clock as Charlotte FC gets ready to take on Inter Miami. So long, everybody.